Game over. Game over. Lights out. You've just been completely obliterated publicly with
Cool.
your. Wait, you've been caught. You've been folded like a chair, caught with your pants down. In virtue of the fact that God has the intrinsic property of goodness, subsequently from that, anything that He commands is just going to be good. What's the problem?
So
And you said, yeah, I would agree that like something is good because he commanded it.
no,
And why did he command it? Well, because he is good. What does it mean for you for something to be good under your view? Well, it just means that God is conformity with his own nature, which is just to say that whenever God commands something, he commands something that's within his nature. Okay, fine.
yeah. To me, it
God
doesn't
commands
sound
the
right to
good because
say,
he's good.
but it doesn't sound right to me to say that it's good because he commanded it.
It doesn't sound right. So this is the level that we're at now,
Because
John.
no,
That
because and the reason it does,
I'm just not convinced. I'm just not
the
convinced. I'm
but
just
there's a
not
reason why it
convinced.
doesn't sound right because
Look,
there.
I'm curious. It's killing me. What do you mean when you say good, John?
What do I mean when I say good? Well, it represents to
Yeah.
me, right, the nature of God, if you even want to use the word nature.
I have to give it to John though that somehow he didn't look as bad against Sean for some reason. But I don't think anyone won that debate. I think ultimately the audience
It
lost.
wasn't even a debate.
It
You
I
was.
think we
understand?
all
So
lost.
Do you understand
somebody's
that
telling
when
me I don't
John,
know what anything about the Euthyphro dilemma. That's a little disappointing.
At
John,
least you
do you
didn't.
do you understand that when you answered my question, you're just taking the first horn like he said?
No, I don't agree with that. I mean, this
Okay.
is
Follow
something.
up
It's not an
question.
internal
Yeah,
critique.
Follow up question.
this is something I've been.
Is there anything God can do that's not good?
Is there anything God can do that is not good? No,
Is there anything that God can do that's not within his nature?
no.
You obviously say no,
Yeah,
right?
I say no.
Okay, good. So is God is do his commandments exude from his nature? They just flow from his nature?
I would say yes.
Is his nature good?
Yes.
Yeah, so God commands that which is in within his nature.
Right.
It's whatever he commands, it's within his nature to command that thing.
Right.
Yeah, so what's the problem in saying that in virtue of the fact that God's nature is good, he always commands the good. He always commands that which is within his nature.
Right.
I
Right.
don't get it.
I don't have a problem with that. But
Yeah, so
the
then that's
issue
the
I have a
first
problem with.
horn.
Yeah.
Something is good because he commands it.
Yeah. Then I
Yeah.
would say no.
This is like the wallet meme from SpongeBob. That's how the most conversations go with this. Is this your wallet? Or is it and you say that this is your name, right? Yeah, this is my name. Okay, so then this is your wallet. No, that's not my wallet. Man Ray and Patrick.
Listen, Darth.
Oh
Am I
my
like the
god.
only one that I'm not the only one? Am I the only one that responds in just the way that you asked? And when it came to the
Yeah,
last question, they say no.
something is within his nature because he commands it. We already agreed that good is whatever is within God's nature,
Right.
right? Yeah. So when someone asks you, is something good because he commands it, we can just translate that as, is something within his nature because he commands it? Why would you say no?
Because if you don't qualify it, then when you say is something good because he commands it,
Obviously,
it's almost
we're abiding by
no, no,
your
no.
definitions.
Because the
We're abiding
definitions.
by your
Wait. No,
definitions.
it's about contingency. The good is contingent
Con-
upon the
wait,
command,
wait,
or it's contingent upon
contingency.
his
What does
nature.
contingency have to do with it? What?
Well,
Yeah, maybe I'm using the
is
wrong
it
philosophical word for you guys, but what I mean, it's like um, based
Contingent upon
upon,
what?
dependent upon. That's what I mean
Okay.
by contingent.
look, is good that which is internal to God's nature?
Yes.
Look, okay. Then, so is something internal to his nature because he commands it? Or does he command it because it's internal to his
Okay,
nature?
let me ask you this,
I'm
Darth.
not
If
saying
it,
anything about
okay,
ought to be done
hang
or
on,
anything like that. I'm using your
hang on.
definitions.
Okay, hang on. If it is such that the way you phrased it, I'm agreeable to, and if it is such that a different phrasing, which you think is the same, and I do not, I'm not agreeable to, then what's the problem in continually only using the phraseology that I'm agreeable to? Why is that an issue?
John, is God's nature good by default because he so happens to be God, or is there something about his
No,
nature
that's
that
irrelevant.
demands that it's
So,
good? What's that?
yeah, but that the Euthyphro dilemma just wants to address like three sets of questions. How
Sure.
is something good? Right? Why does God command that thing? And how those two prior facts are interrelated with one another. Right? Like in virtue of what does he command that thing? Like why does he command something if it's good? Or is it the case that the good is just whatever he commands?
The reason he commands because he's good.
Which we already agreed that since your definition is that good is whatever is internal to his nature, we already established that he can't command something that's outside of his nature, right?
Now, if it is such that whatever he commands is good, it doesn't answer why he commands, does it?
The Would you say your response is the reason why he commands something is
You
because
didn't
it's
answer the
internal
question.
to his
You didn't
nature?
answer the question.
No, but I'm asking you a clarifying question. Like, is it the case? Is it the case the reason why he commands it is because it's internal to his
So
nature?
once again, if it is such that something is good because he commands it, it has no information as to why he commands it.
That's false. Right? There's plenty of reasons a theist could give as to why God commands it.
Yes,
Maybe it was God's
only one of
desire to
which
command it,
is that
and
he's good. That's my
yeah,
entire
yeah.
point.
For the theist, it might be the case that God desired to command X, and in virtue of the fact that anything that God desires
Right.
is the
Whereas the
good,
other reason
then
where God is good, there is only one reason. That's the difference.
no, no. This is look. You're just misunderstanding, right? Like it doesn't follow from the fact that if um if something is good in virtue of the fact that he commands it, that there's only going to be one reason or no reason as to why that's the case. That doesn't follow. A divine command theorist can still give reasons for why God commands certain things.
That's what I'm saying. No, there's not reasons. It's only one reason,
No,
right?
they
And
could
so
give
what if you say,
reasons in plural.
but
They
what I'm
could
saying is,
give.
listen, Darth.
We're talking.
If it is such that you're, hang on, if you're
You're
saying that it's
just
such that
You're
he,
just straw manning. You're look. Do you even know what divine command theory even is?
I do.
What's divine command theory?
Yeah, what is
Divine
it?
command theory is that it's good because God commands it,
And
and maybe we ought to obey it because it's good.
and see, this is how I know you
Wait.
don't know anything about divine command theory because a lot of them tend to give Christological accounts. Christology is just the study of Christ, and they would give arguments from action theory to say, well, this is why God desires to command X. And in virtue of the fact that he commands X, we ought to do X. You're just not. I can tell that you think that divine command theory is monolithic. You just think that it just means one thing, where God can just, I don't know, like wake up
Yeah, no, I
tomorrow
agree.
and say, well, commanding, I don't know, that if he commands that babies ought to be killed, then babies ought to be killed. Like, no, like some divine command theorists, like I said, they want to say something like, it's analytically true that God's commands are good. So there's like there's really not an informative account of what the good means under that system. Other people want to say, well, no, the identity relation there isn't analytic. So there's an open question as to how those things are good, and maybe they want to appeal to like you know, in virtue of the fact that God intends for us to do X, he thinks of a command, or he establishes a command that we ought to abide by. So there's certain accounts of divine command theory, right, that you should investigate before. I mean, you go into these discussions and say that there's like one view of divine command theory.
Okay, I mean, here's what I will say. As far as divine command theory, I have a limited understanding of it. However, maybe I don't know, 5 years ago, I watched a video on it. Maybe it was about an hour, maybe hour and a half, whatever it was. And as I was listening to it, I didn't agree with it. And so, if you're
Cool.
telling me there's more than one version of which I was not aware, I did think it's monolithic. You're correct, right? But whatever version I must have heard or whatever, I didn't agree with it, and I just left it at that. And so the limited understanding of it is from maybe just one video. But even still,
Anyone
Darth,
else?
I mean, like if it is such the case that the way you asked me the questions I was agreeable to, rather than harping on that it is the first horn, right? If it is such that that I've already agreed to those questions, and if there's anything more to explore based on those, if it brings out a contradiction or anything, so there's some problems that occur, I'm more than willing to look at it. But if the argument is such that no, that is the first horn, as
Yeah,
Delano would say,
it
that's not very
is.
interesting.
It is.
So, what would be the big deal if you're claiming it's the first horn? Why is that so
That
important? Like,
doesn't get
to
you,
me, big
because
deal.
that doesn't get you out of the dilemma.
And what is the dilemma?
Oh my! You.
No, what is the
What do you
what
mean? What
is
is
the
the
What do you
dilemma?
dilemma?
I
mean?
can
What's
see
the
what the
Euthyphro
dilemma?
dilemma.
I can see a dilemma as
The
proposed in
Euthyphro dilemma,
Euthyphro,
right?
Is
right?
something internal to his nature because he commands it, or does he command it because it's internal to his
Yeah,
nature?
I mean, it's the way I look at it. It's good. Um, is based upon his nature, right? The way I look at the Euthyphro,
Yeah,
it's based upon his nature, but his
yeah,
command,
but that's just
and not
giving me
and
that's just giving
and
me an
good
account of
external to
good.
God, of which
Yeah,
is neither.
yeah. Thank you. You've just defined good for us. Now, give us answered the question, right? Now that we've established that good just equals, right? Good just equals that which is internal to God's nature. Now you can go to the second question that's posed, which is just the dilemma, John. Is something internal to his nature because he commands it, or does he command it because it's internal to his nature? Now that we've already established what good is, answer the question.
yeah.
Just
Yeah,
saying that
but
God is
even
good is just to go to question one and not address
no,
question two.
okay. The second part of it, those two questions, right? Is it good? Because wait, is the command good because it's internal to
No,
his
no, no,
nature,
no. You
right?
see, you're doing the
Or something
mistake
like that.
again. The first question was, what is good? You said good is that which is internal to God's nature.
Right.
Right. Okay, question 2 is just the Euthyphro dilemma at that level. We can ask, is something internal to God's nature, which is the good, right, because he commands it, or does he command it because it's internal to God's nature?
Yeah, and I think it's neither.
What's the third option?
Um, it's not that he commands it because he's good, right? It's whatever he commands is good. Does that not make sense to you?
Whatever he commands is internal to his nature, John, at that point. Oh my god.
So I mean, I think there's a distinct difference.
That's just to affirm the first horn, John.
Yeah,
No, I disagree.
Holy shit.
John, that was just verbatim, the repeating the
No,
dilemma, the first
it was
horn.
not.
Yeah. Is this on replay? Yeah, the replays are on.
Tom, are you here?
We might
Oh
have
my
to
god.
replay this one in slow
Yeah,
mo.
just a bunch of atheists laughing doesn't establish anything.
Yo, what did I miss? What happened?
We're talking about the Euthyphro dilemma with John Lee, right? And he doesn't want to define good as what ought to be done. And I said, okay, that doesn't matter. What's your definition of the good then? And then he defines good as that which is internal to God's nature. Okay, great.
Hold
He
on a
already
sec.
answered.
What is I don't can I
No,
ask a
no,
question?
forget Tom. Forget
Yeah,
that's
so
not
far
even
I
so
don't know
good.
what the fuck that
important.
means though.
That's
What's the
not even.
difference between like consistent with God's nature or internal to, what's the
Yeah,
difference?
we can investigate what that gibberish means
All right.
later, but that's not even relevant to the dilemma. It doesn't like the dilemma doesn't rest
Yeah, I
on
mean,
one
I'll consider
particular
it synonymous
definition.
for all intents and
The
purposes, Tom.
dilemma doesn't rest upon one particular definition. Okay,
All right,
great.
good.
Right. Now that you've answered the first question, John, okay. Now that we've established that the good is internal to God's nature, we could just ask, is it internal to God's nature because he commands it? Or does he command it because it's internal to God's nature? And you
Which I said
said,
neither.
what's the third option?
That he is good, and therefore any not because he commands it, that and it is the case that whatever he commands is good.
Yeah, so it's the case that whatever he commands is internal to his nature. That's just to affirm the first horn. Oh my
No.
god.
Yes. This is going to make a good slow mo.
Oh my god, John. Are you hearing that, Tom?
Game
That
over.
Sorry, I zoned out when he was
Game
talking about
over.
For
Lights out.
example, do you think there are any
You just been
genuine
totally
hang on,
obliterated
hang on. If do
publicly.
you think there are any genuine objections to the Euthyphro? First and foremost, what do you think?
no, they're all really, really
Okay, there
bad.
aren't. However, you do agree that theists throughout the centuries, or at least in the last 100 years, have disagreed with it. You do agree with that, right?
That's irrelevant.
Yeah, thanks for reporting people's
Right.
opinions for the last
And
300
Yeah.
years, John. Are you
right.
T-Jump
And
now?
so you would know the objections, right? In a
I don't
sense
even
that
think it's
when
an
I see you,
objection because when
no, when
we
I saw
talk
you
about the
in,
word objection, we think that
but
there's
here's the
actually
thing.
a
Here's the thing.
genuine
Wait a
engagement
minute.
with
Wait a
the
minute.
argument.
Wait a minute. When you interacted with Abdul Rahman on the Euthyphro, and he was not agreeable to you.
Okay.
When you're
And
talking to me, I'm not
are
agreeable
you
to you. You
here
could be talking to Matt
reporting?
Slick.
Are
You
you
could be talking to.
reporting people's intuitions now,
But
like
here's the
T
thing.
Jump is? Like,
Here's
what
my
is
point is
this?
this. Okay, you're
Is this
coming
a
up against
consensus?
theist after theist after theist after theist who is not agreeing with you, and all you can do is laugh.
Look, look,
You
ding
you
dong,
What
think
was
there's
ding
wrong
some
with
kind
the
of
dong,
subject?
you
ding
think there's some
dong,
kind of block there?
You're being
ding
a
dong. Is
dingbat.
anything in does anything that he commands Does he command it because it's internal to his nature, right? Or is it internal to his nature to command it?
Correct.
Which one is it? We already just telling me you're just doing the same thing that Abdul and Muslim metaphysician do, where they say, "Well, God is good." Okay,
Every
great. That's my
listen,
first question.
most every
My
theist
first
says exactly
question
that.
is what is good, right? And then when we agree what good is, then we can ask, is X, is it X because he commands it, or does he command it because X, right? Do you see what the dialectic is now? Just saying God is good doesn't address the second
Yeah,
question. It
I don't
addresses the first.
I don't think that the reason why God commands it has to be one of those two
Yeah,
that you laid out.
okay. Thanks for giving me your psychological state and reporting it to us on CNN, right? Now let's go back to BBC, right? Big black chair,
You're no wait.
right?
You laid out. Hang
And
on. You laid out two reasons.
ask
Reason
you,
A and
in
reason
virtue of
B.
what is it commanded?
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree that like if I write it down, I could probably come out with the third option. However, I don't agree just by listening to it that it's necessarily reason A or reason B. I do think there's a reason
Look, the
C. And
Euthyphro
you're asking me
dilemma is
what it
not
is.
What?
interested on what your
Yeah.
opinion on the good is. It's just interested
I
on
don't.
whether or
Yeah,
not,
my
in virtue of what does he command it.
instinctually, I would say that the reason is neither A nor B.
Yeah, you just keep restating what your view is. Who
And I'll tell
cares?
you what. I'll come up with the reason. I'll come up with the
Your
third
view is
reason.
just that he's
I'm
good.
pretty sure just by listening to it, I don't agree with the first reason or the second reason.
Okay, great, but that doesn't mean that you dismantle an argument in virtue of the
No,
fact that you
I agree. No,
disagree.
I agree. I agree. But just by declaring it's reason A or B does not establish it either.
Oh my
And just by
god. Look,
laughing at someone
what's
disagreeing with reason
the
A or
third
B,
option that you provided is just to restate the first horn, right?
I don't know.
Restate it again one more time.
Powder keg.
Yeah, whatever God commands is good because his nature
Yeah,
is good.
yeah. Whatever God commands is good. Right. What was the first thing that I asked you, John? What was the thing that I asked you?
With regard to the reason why he commands it, though,
No.
right?
Is it internal to his nature because he commands it? Or does he command it because it's internal to his nature? You said neither. And now you say anything that he commands is good, which is just to say that anything that he commands is internal to his nature. Game over, lights out.
You've just been totally obliterated publicly.
Yeah. Just because you got your sycophant over here, from the peanut gallery agreeing with you doesn't establish anything.
You've
This is
been
how you guys
you've been
operate. I know.
folded like a
I've
chair,
been around
cocked
This
to
this
your
is
for
what
what
they
decades.
you've
do.
been folded
The
like a
funny
chair,
thing,
cocked to
Tom, you
your
might be
tail.
laughing now, but there's not
Game
too
You
many
over.
probably need a
theists.
couple of more. I'm surprised you don't have
There's not
Filipino chiming
too
in.
many theists in this world that are too different from John when it comes to these issues.
Like what I'm responding to is not aberrant, is it, Darth?
Yeah, anything that he commands is internal to his nature.
So, in other words, you agree that how I'm responding
Right,
is
John?
very common, right? There's a
Right,
reason for that.
John? Anything that
Maybe
he
it's
commands
common
is
because
internal to his
no,
nature, right, John?
maybe it's something you're not
He
getting. Is
can't
that
command
John, you
possible?
took it.
something outside of his nature, right, John?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so it's internal to his nature because he commands it, right, John?
No, it's not internal to his nature because he commands it.
Yeah, so what is it that I hear now? You're saying that something isn't internal to his nature because he commands it, which is can be translated as something isn't good because he commands it. What's the second horn, John? What's the second horn?
There's a difference between
Now
something.
you're contradicting
No,
yourself.
no, no.
Now you said
There's
that
no, no,
yeah,
no. There's a difference. There's
anything
a
Powder
that he
keg.
causation element
commands
to it.
is
Powder keg.
internal to his nature.
No,
Now you're retracting
no.
that.
The statement commands it because it's internal, and internal because he commands it are two separate propositions.
Yeah, I realize that.
And you seem to be conflating
What's
the
the
two.
second horn? He commands it because it's internal to his nature.
And so continually, when I say that,
Does God always command that which is internal to his nature?
yes,
Yeah. So now you went from the first horn, you dropped that, and now you affirm the second horn, which is what I asked you the first time around. What I asked you was, is it internal to his nature because he commands it, or does he command it because it's internal to his nature? Now you're saying yes, he does command it because it's internal to his nature.
Right.
that's what I've been saying.
Yeah. So now you want to take up the second horn now.
No, what are
We
you even
got you
talking
this
about?
time, John, I think. I'm afraid to say, but it was a valiant effort, though.
Yeah, whatever. Cool opinion. I'll tell you what. I think it's pathetic, if you ask me.
It's just a question.
That yeah, no. It seems like something's being reported, repeated, and it's like, don't you get it? I mean, it reminds me of something like, uh, you know, um, like, do you deserve hell? Then you should go to hell. And I would say
Yeah, I
no.
had a
And it
call.
would be
What's
like,
up?
huh? And then start laughing some more.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
shouldn't,
yeah,
you
yeah.
shouldn't
God
go to
commands
hell.
it because it's internal to his nature, right,
And then
John?
it's like that, and you got three or
Second
four guys go.
horn, second
When I say
horn, no false
wait, hang on.
dilemma. Yeah,
When I say I deserve to go to hell, and then they ask me, so you should go to hell, and I say no, it's like ha ha ha, they're synonymous, ha
Do you
ha.
still think the Euthyphro
The
dilemma
same
is a false
game.
dilemma, John?
Just because you guys think
Do
something's
you
the
still
case.
think that the Euthyphro dilemma is
Oh,
a
all I
false
hear is a
dilemma?
mosquito buzzing in my backyard.
I'm going to continue to bring up that
Unpleasant
example
insect.
because it highlights the sophistry that goes on with these conversations.
That's what deserve means, John.
No,
Well,
it
John,
does not. And I'll give you a good example, Haiti, because I'll give you a good example. When I asked Danny Philtalk to say, listen, if you think the words are synonymous, right? I'm telling you, there's a distinction. If you think there's, why even use two different words? I'll tell you what. Why don't you eliminate the word
Hmm.
should and just use every single word to say deserve? And he attempted that, and he had to pause because it wasn't working.
Doesn't mean they're synonymous, but in this context, they are.
No, they're not synonymous, and I'm telling you, they're not synonymous because he could not eliminate the word should in what he was attempting to do
Depends on how.
by using
Look,
only the
look.
word deserve.
It
That's what I'm telling
depends.
John,
you.
it's not.
It's a context dependent.
This guy goes around thinking that
Atheists are
somehow
dishonest? Yeah.
atheists have to rely on employing a normative definition of the good, right, to run the Euthyphro
No, it has
dilemma. When
nothing. No,
he
I don't
even
think that. I
we've
don't think
just
that.
showed you to your face that even if we applied a non-norm.
No, I don't think that at all, Darth.
Would you still say that the Euthyphro is a false dilemma?
Yes, I would say that. I've been saying that for 20 years. This is something I've been discussing, and you guys for a very long time, Daniel. To me, it's clear. I don't know. I don't know how long you guys have been talking about it, but I've been talking about it for a great many years. And to me, just because like you
I
think
don't
like
doubt it. I think you're.
you
Yeah, I
think
don't doubt it. I
you
mean,
guys say something like it's self-evident, and then like if I don't agree with it, like you're laughing about it. To me, I mean, it's not the same thing. And if I were to write it down on paper, I often find they're very slick in a sense of how it's positioned to have the apparency of the dichotomy and yet it's not even analogous. Sometimes it's not synonymous. There's a lot of conflation.
Yeah,
There's
so
words that are
he commands
introduced that
it
I don't
because it's
use.
internal
These
within
are
his
the ploys
nature,
that I've
right,
noticed.
John?
Yeah, get him to commit to a horn again,
Yeah,
because I think he's committed to first
so
horn, second.
since you don't agree that something is internal to his nature because he commands it, are you affirming that he commands it because it's internal to his nature?
No, I would say that whatever he commands is internal to his nature, not because it's I think there's a distinction
Oh,
here.
so something is internal to his nature because he commands it.
Yes,
Yeah, whatever he commands is internal to his nature.
correct.
Right,
Which is just what I said with the first
right.
horn, you nimbo. Why is it so hard to have a conversation with you in English?
Because the first horn, you didn't use the word good at all in that conversation,
Good is, we already agreed that good is internal to God's
which
nature,
is not
right?
necessarily the first horn.
Oh my, oh,
Wow.
Would you like for me to
is
repeat
it
the first horn?
internal to God's nature because he commands
No,
it,
no,
or
no.
does God
I
command it
could give
because
you the
it's
two.
internal to God's nature?
I could give you the two statements, and they're not synonymous. This is what I'm talking about.
You
When you
said
say when
anything that he commands is internal to his nature, right?
no, the first horn is it's good because God
Good.
commands it.
We already
Hang
look.
on, hang on,
Good.
hang
We
on.
translated
No, hang
good.
on.
Look,
Once
we
again,
already
it's
Powder
translated
keg,
good.
powder
good
keg.
into that
Wait,
which
wait.
is internal to
It's
his nature.
wait a minute. It's good because God commands it. That is the actual first horn of the Euthyphro dilemma, right? However,
When we
what
translated
you're
it
asking
to
is something
something
different,
being internal
right?
because he
You don't even
commands it.
mention the word good, and then you're trying to pretend, well,
Oh
that's the
my
first
God,
horn,
you
and
are
it's not.
what?
It's simply not.
Stop drinking tap water in Los Angeles, John. Holy shit. The dilemma doesn't rest upon one particular
Right.
definition of the good. I already employed your definitions of what the good is. That's not what the dilemma is about. The dilemma is about if you want to define good this way, right, internal to his nature, I asked you then afterwards, is it internal to his nature because he commands it, or does he command it because it's internal to his nature?
His
You keep
And
nature.
I've
saying,
told you
oh, you
neither.
didn't use good there. Who
And I
cares?
just told you it's neither. Because
Yeah, you keep telling me
yeah.
it's neither,
But
but
then
then
here,
when you offer the third option, you just say he commands it because it's good, right?
no, I didn't even say that.
Yes, you did.
Let's
No.
start from the top.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
I said he
There's
commands it
replays
because
on
he
this
is
room, and you
good.
did say that you affirm
No,
the second
no,
horn. None
hang
of us
on.
here are dumb.
Wait a minute. You said I didn't. At no point did I say he commands it because it's good, quote unquote. I said he commands it because he is good. Do you see the difference in the two statements?
He commands it because he is good. That's just to say that it's internal to his nature, dumbass.
Yeah,
So
John.
there's
The
a
fuck is wrong
no.
with
There's a
you?
difference. Once again, there's a difference between he commands it because it's
What else does
good.
it mean to say that he's good if not
Because
that goodness
hang
is
on.
intrinsic within
Because
him? What
when
the,
you say
what the
no,
fuck
hang
are
on.
you on about?
When you say he commands it because it's good, quote unquote, right? It is possible that good can exist external to his nature, can it not?
Why are you even talking about
You didn't even answer
externality
the
here?
question.
Why
Powder
are you
keg.
Okay,
even talking about
I'm gonna
externality?
say it again.
Why are
When
you even
you
talking
consider it
about stuff?
synonymous,
Who
hang on here,
mentioned
Darth.
anything about
Hang
externality?
on here. You consider you claimed it's synonymous. How many times? 5 times? 10 times? I'm gonna explain it
You're
to you. I'm
not
gonna break it down
addressing
for
the
you.
argument.
If you
You're
want to
not
listen,
addressing the argument at
when you
all.
say hang on, when you say that it's good because it is good, right?
Oh
it
my
has the
god.
option of the
That's
possibility
not.
that good
Yeah, can
Is
you
it?
let
can
Altoid
be
up, Tom?
external to
Is it
God.
internal to
Yeah.
his
Now
nature
when
because he
you say
commands it, or does he
see,
command
you
it
see how
because
you're
it's
just still
internal
trying to
to his
overtalk me,
nature?
Darth?
You just saying
You
that
just got
anything
caught
he
red-handed,
commands is
dude.
good is just to affirm the first horn. Do you not
You just got
realize
caught
that?
red-handed playing word games. And when I try to break it down for you, as soon as I get to the point, the
You caught him red handed?
you
The
start to
what? The
overtalk.
what? You just said
Why
he
would why
commands it
why
because
why
he
would
is
you try
good,
to
which is just
why
to say
would
that
you
he
try to
commands it because it's internal to his
Darth
nature.
Darth, why would you try to
Why are you
overtalk?
so fucking stupid?
Why would you even
Why
interrupt
are you
when
so
I'm making the
fucking
point?
stupid? Can
Powder
you answer
keg.
me that question?
Powder
Why
keg.
would you do that? Should I repeat myself? When you say that
I
it's good
disagree.
because when you say that God commands because it is good, once again, what you're saying that there is the option, right, of good being external to God. However, when you say what he commands is good because he is good, then there's no possibility for good being external to God. That's my entire point. And when you at this point, what, five,
Yeah,
10 times
anything is
during
good because
this
he is good,
episode, when you attempt to
right? Which is
pretend
just to
that
say that he
these
just
statements are
commands that which is
synonymous,
internal to his
they
nature,
clearly
right?
are not. And do you think this is like the first time that someone's tried to attempt that with me? Are you kidding me? There's so
This ain't
many
his
dishonest
first
people
rodeo,
out there
John.
just like yourself trying to pretend through word games
No, there's
that
no
they are
word
synonymous. They
game.
are
See,
not.
now you're doing the same thing that all the theists do when they don't
I
understand an
just
argument. Oh,
demonstrated
it's
to you
just
how they're not
word games.
the same
Oh,
statement.
do ooga booga. Right? Go
I
fuck
just told you
off.
why they're not. You just got caught
Powder
red-handed,
keg.
dude.
You caught him with his pants down? It's quite on the
What
contrary,
when I
That's
when
quite
I
the
sir.
listen?
grandiose claim, right?
Is
Because
this recorded or what? Yeah,
It's,
good.
it's pure, just
Did
and
did
it's
you
not
see what he
even
tried to
because
conflate
John
down
pure
to?
Lee
I
delusion.
does
just
this.
Pure
literally
Anyone,
delusions of
spelled it out.
grandeur.
anyone could be on John Lee's position on this topic
I just
and
literally
somehow
spelled it
think
out,
that
Dan.
they get
Despite
away
your,
with it. That's the
you know,
arrogance of your
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
theism.
the delusions
Dan,
of
you oughta
That's
grandeur.
buy
the
some
arrogance
pom poms for the
in the
cheerleading you've been
foolishness of
doing.
your view.
I mean,
This is the
seriously, Daniel.
foolishness that theists have always been committed to. Just say whatever garbage to get out of whatever argument the atheist
I just
brings.
spelled it out, Darth. You just attempted to conflate. It is good
You're just
because
an
oh wait,
idiot.
John,
no,
John, he got you to,
Why are
you
John,
just see.
let's
Not
see
you want
if
me to repeat
there's
it a third
another
time? What you
theist
try
who
to do?
wants to
You want me to
come
repeat
up
it
and
John,
a third
he
address the
got
time?
you to
dilemma,
spill your
who
guts.
isn't as slow as John Lee.
I'll tell you
This
what you tried
guy
to do.
John,
I
he
just
got you to
told you
spill
what you
your
tried
this
to
guts.
guy
do.
is a glutton for punishment.
John, he got you to spill your guts, and it's on the replays on.
Yeah, it
We're
is
gonna
on the
slow mo it.
replays. I'm glad it
You spilled
is.
your guts. You spilled your guts already, right?
Darth, I mean, listen, I
It's
am
not
not
only you,
philosophic.
it's anyone. It's
Listen,
no
I'm,
theist can get out of this problem. Not a
listen,
single one.
I'm
Because the
not
dilemma
even
is
a
just going to be
philosopher.
applied to whatever
But,
definition of the good that they have in
I mean,
mind.
when it began, Darth, with you and infinite punishment for finite
Well,
crimes or
what the
something,
hell
that was
does
a
that have to
laughable.
do with this?
Yeah, no, that was when you went 0 for 1, and you haven't been
Oh,
doing very
oh,
well
for
since.
one. Yeah, what's infinite
Yeah.
punishment for a finite crime if it's not just you
Yeah, it's not a there's
sinning
no.
in your finite
We
life
already
and then being
discussed it's
punished
not a
for that
finite
in
crime.
eternity? What do you do you even listen to yourself speak
We
sometimes?
already discussed how it was
I
not a
don't think you
finite crime.
can.
You got that page from Dillahunty,
No, but
surprisingly.
when does Stilante even speak on those arguments?
Dillahunty is the one
What
that
the
made, not you, Darth. You the one that ripped him off. What the infinite punish for the finite crimes. I've heard this from him
John,
verbatim and
That
parroted
hold
doesn't
by
on,
come
atheists for
from
the
hold on.
last
him.
10
That
years,
comes from
dude.
Kant. That comes from various several other people that aren't Dillahunty. I don't
Well,
even
I'll tell you what.
even think
Maybe
that it's
okay.
even relevant to point out
Fair
that
enough.
Really?
Dillahunty is the source of this.
Maybe Dillahunty ripped it off from content. Okay, but
Yeah,
I
Darth.
But
The
why
only
does
thing
the
guarantee
that
you,
I
origin
would
of
have to
I
that have to
disagree
do
with
guarantee
is
I
anything with the
guarantee people
arguments?
number of atheists parrot it because they heard it from the atheist experience.
who cares?
And so if I miss
Yeah,
it,
Darth.
all I'm
Typically,
saying is,
however, I have to disagree with kind of like the
I
procedural.
disagree.
Yeah, typically when somebody performs seppuku, Darth, you're supposed to like do the honorable thing and chop off their head
Yeah.
so that there's no
John, you were just
suffering.
John. This was bad. This was one of your most delusional showings yet, which is to say that it's been one of the most entertaining showings. But I want to thank you for that.
Yeah,
Because
Daniel,
we're
you
going
know
to
what?
slow mo
You
it.
really ought to get
No,
some
but
panties and
then you're gonna
a
get
couple of pom-poms.
Khalil. Then you're
Yeah,
gonna get
me.
the video. Daz
Wait,
has
what did
like,
you say about panties?
Yeah, no, you ought to get one of
Mm.
those Letterman, sweaters,
yeah, Daz
put
is coming in
DD
with
on there
prime
or
content
DA on
tonight.
there and get some pom-poms and some
Keep
panties.
Danny Phil
I
Tuck's name
mean,
out of your
I've never
mouth.
seen so much
Yeah,
shameless cheerleading
that.
in my life.
Hey, John, Daz is coming in with prime content tonight. We've got you. We've got Khalil not answering the Cartesian skeptic argument. We've got the Muslim metaphysician running in another room. It's just like, I mean, what else do you want? Do you see like those deluxe burgers at Burger King, right? Like, what do they call it? Like the Whopper monster or what? Yeah, you're the lettuce and tomato in that burger, right, John?
John, you
Yeah, and
spilled your
if it's the,
guts again. You spilled
I
your
mean,
guts again.
if it's
Remember the
well, that's
time that you were
fine.
saying that evil existed prior to creation
Oh,
and
here
it
we
wasn't
go with
God?
that again.
Yeah.
John, you spilled your guts again, and you spilled your nut. You know why? Because you like this.
He
You spilled your
loves it.
guts,
Oh shit.
and then you spilled your nut because you like it, don't you?
It's like if you had Madison beer in front of you. It's just like go for the instant grab, right, Daniel? Like, just hug the chair. Just
Oh,
hug the
what
chair.
a dunk this was, though. Fuck.
Well, what we really want is Sean versus John round two. That's Sean has been preparing for this moment.
Maybe you can have him take the
Um,
position of infinite crimes for infinite
John, why
crimes
don't
and
why
the
don't you
finite
call
crimes.
into the atheist experience next week?
I
What?
mean,
Why
come on.
not, John?
That that was
What,
embarrassing for you, Darth. That's when I
Uh,
first met you,
John?
and
Why
I
aren't? Well,
kind of
look,
got offended.
it's time to take your internet meme ministry
I
to the
mean,
next level.
maybe
We're gonna do atheist experience, bro.
maybe Sean will take up the baton if he's willing to take the position of God punishing people infinitely for finite crimes. Are you kidding me?
What's wrong with that?
Guys, Kant got destroyed obviously by John Lee. Like his entire like the categorical imperative, like lex talionis, right? Like all those things go like they've been blown out of the water by John Lee. You know, John Lee has written a response to Kant's critique of pure reason,
I
right?
mean, as
The
far as the Euthyphro
metaphysics of
dilemma, I
morals.
really do think. I mean,
It's on
I'm not.
JSTOR,
Listen, I'm
guys.
not a big fan of William Lane Craig, but I do really think that he provided one of the best, uh, um, rebuttals for the Euthyphro dilemma. I really do.
Hey, John, why can't God punish people infinitely but
Well,
deal with
John,
away?
John Lee is actually right. He's actually right because the
Well, that I think I think
Euthyphro
we're gonna take issue
dilemma,
there, right?
it only exists in the mind of atheists because in the classical theist theist
Oh,
perspective,
great. Now
the
we have
Euthyphro
this idiot
dilemma
talking.
is false. Is false. Anselm, like Augustine before him, and then later Aquinas, they all rejected both forms of the Euthyphro dilemma, and the reason why is this: God neither conforms to nor invents the moral order. Rather, his very nature is the standard of value. So, like I said,
Is
the
his is
Euthyphro
it
Wait, is the
dilemma
standard of value? What
only
does that even
exists
mean?
in the mind of
yeah, but then
atheists.
that's just
It's only in your mind.
but then Gavin, that's just to say that good is what's internal to his nature, right?
Well, no, it's just
Goodness is
analytically
rooted within
identical,
God.
right?
Yeah, that's
So how
obvious.
would it
Right.
be
Okay.
normative?
Okay. Right. So then if what all we mean by good here is that it's intrinsic to God's nature, then we could pose the dilemma to that and say, is it intrinsic to God's nature because He commands it, or does He command it because it's intrinsic to His nature?
And I told you
No,
it's
this is
neither.
nonsense. It's a nonsense
How is
dilemma.
it nonsense?
Nonsense dilemma. Because it
How
only
is it
exists in the
nonsense if
minds
it's
of
just that's just the
atheists.
definition of the good?
It only exists in the
What are you
mind
talking
of
about? How can a
atheists.
question? How
Theists
look,
don't
Gavin?
even
How can
think
look,
about this
Gavin, Gavin,
dilemma.
Gavin, Gavin?
The,
How can a question that's
theists
asked
don't
of you?
even think about this
How can a
dilemma.
question? How can a question that's asked of you be nonsense in virtue of who's asking it?
The Euthyphro dilemma
Because
doesn't
it's a nonsense
isn't
question.
interested
It's a nonsense
with your
question.
definition, right? We could employ your definition and then apply it to the dilemma, right? Is it internal to his nature because he commands it, or does he command it because it's internal to his nature? Whatever definition of good you have in mind, we employed the dilemma to that definition itself. You realize that, right?
And like I said, goodness is rooted within God's nature.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that.
Yeah, so is it rooted in his nature because he commands something, or does he command something because it's rooted within his nature? That's not the part that you're
That's a
addressing.
stupid
That's not you saying that
stupid
stupid is
dilemma.
irrelevant.
It
I don't
really
care
is
what your fucking
stupid.
opinion is.
And I
I
don't
think
care
you're
what
stupid.
yours is.
Now
I don't
now
care
now
what
give
yours
me an
is.
argument and stop giving me your opinion.
I think there wouldn't be enough prizes in the cereal
Oh
box
my god,
for the
just
biggest
answer the
idiot in this room
fucking
tonight.
I
objection.
mean, I mean,
You
look,
It's not
this is the
interesting,
scumbag.
same
Gavin.
person. This is the exact same person who said objective is independent of human minds. And when we said that bird minds would thusly be objective, he just like he couldn't handle it. And he like kept using the same definition. So we're just working with an idiot here. And he's just gonna like employ meta and rhetoric and all of this
Hey,
nonsense. And he's not gonna
He's
address
just
the
like
what's
problem.
wrong
Darth.
with
But
He's
independent of
just like
but I mean,
creaturely
Gary
you
minds?
could
Mills.
ask him a question over and over, but it's just he's not going to be
Yeah, he's
Hey,
a
capable of
Altoid,
like
moron. He's a
actually answering
moron.
it.
what
He's
about an independent
incapable.
of
He
creaturely
hasn't
minds?
read
Is
any
that a
of the
problematic
Not
literature,
enough
definition?
name
prizes in the
drops three
cereal box
people,
for
and then
all the
can't deal with
idiots
an
in the room
objection.
tonight.
I mean, yeah,
Not enough
just watch
prizes in the
the
cereal box
that
for
one
all the
video where
idiots in
he
the
Does he
got
room
think
folded
tonight.
like a
that there
chair.
haven't been any objections to Craig's view
I mean,
in the literature,
yeah, I would
even
like to ask
coming from
Altoid, is
theists?
there a problem with independent of creaturely minds, which includes birds?
What the fuck did he just say?
No, what
Yeah, birds minds
rather than
second order.
independent of human minds, why not independent of creaturely minds, which may include aliens, whatever? There's a
Are you
creature
saying
creator
it's independent
distinction.
of God?
Hang on. Is
Answer the
God a
question to
creature?
clear it up for me.
Is God a creation?
God's not a
Now,
creation, no.
exactly. So if it's independent of creaturely minds, God would not apply, right? Delano.
Yeah, I stepped away. Did you answer my question?
It's if it's independent
Well,
of.
that's not what it means for morality to be
Now I
objective,
had an
right?
interesting
The pursuit
discussion
of
with
morality
Lance.
being
He
objective
calls it like independent of
stance independent moral facts, right?
stance.
Something that you
Thank you.
should do
Thank you.
independent of any beliefs, desires,
Yeah, that
values
seems like an
of a
arbitrary
particular
definition
agent
too.
or
That's that
community.
seems pretty arbitrary, just as much as independent of creaturely
Oh yeah,
minds.
you're telling Lance Bush that definition is arbitrary.
Why wouldn't it be?
Oh no!
All definitions are that way.
So what's
Who
wrong with
cares?
it? What's
That
wrong with
doesn't show the
subjective? Hang
realism.
on. What's it? What I was asking Altoid, you guys could white knight him, but I was asking him, what is the what? Why couldn't it be independent of creaturely minds?
Yeah, this is theism for you folks.
Do you have a problem with that definition, Altoid?
Of how Gavin mentioned Aquinas. Aquinas like literally takes both forms.
I think it's a great definition.